Red Nation, are we here? The best show for Chicago sports.
Yeah. What's good? We back. Gotta talk some football on this mug, man. What is good, everybody? It is your boy Pat the Designer back at it again, joined by the pettiest man alive in the building, man, Mr. P.Kidd.
What's
We are
happening?
back in the building, man. We are talking about the tough question that everybody has asked and I put off for quite some time here. Is trading for Justin Fields a real possibility for the Chicago Bears? We're going to break all that down, talk about a couple of different scenarios. We're going to be looking into what realistically could lead the Chicago Bears to trading away a guy that they feel is their franchise piece, and how this conversation even got started. All that and more in today's episode of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Daily. Y'all know we love doing this, man. We appreciate rocking with y'all as always. Give it
You know,
a
you've
second.
gotten a lot better.
Let
with
it
your
breathe.
Intros.
Let it breathe. Let it breathe. Let it breathe. Let's go. All right, cool. Kill the music. You gotta let that beat drop, man. You gotta let that beat drop.
Hey, I gotta give it to you. You've gotten a lot better on perfecting these intros and stuff like that. Shout out to you for going from like scrub to professional and like such. And right before our eyes, man. Little homie that grew up on us.
Hey, man.
Little homie,
Hey,
the big homie now. He don't shine
glow
shoes
up.
no more. That's what he tried to say.
A little glow up, you know what I mean? Shout out to Jimmy Got Soul for the fire production as always, man. Hey, man, appreciate you guys for tuning in and rocking with us, man. Y'all out here blowing everything up on the internet, so we need y'all to do us a favor, man.
Want to blow something up? Huh? Come on. Push the button. Come on. Push the button. Come on, push the button.
Yeah, come on, push your button.
Hey, Chris
No
Tucker,
shit.
don't sue us because we ain't got no.
You
bread.
heard Sue Young, man. Push the button. Stop playing with us. Y'all out here blowing everything else up on the internet. You might as well blow up the Windy City Breeze, man. Kid, how you feeling today, brother?
Hey, man, I'm living. Feeling good. If you in the Discord, you know I've been kind of stirring the pot a little bit. That's just kind of what I do. You know, you'll never really know how I feel about it unless you directly ask me. You have to sit there and say, P.Kidd, how do you really feel about this topic? Other than that, I'm going to fight both sides because that's what makes good entertainment, and it's just good to get both sides of the spectrum. That's all I gotta say.
You are literally the ghostwriter of this show, the devil's advocate. That was a bar right there.
That's
That
a
was
bar.
a bar. Can we talk about that?
bar.
Let's jump into the topic, man. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and rocking with us. This is the topic that's been going back and forth on the internet for a while now. Might as well break it down over here on the Windy City Breeze, man. The rumors have been coming up all over the place, and understand this. I believe 100% that we should have been preparing ourselves mentally for this going into this offseason because we have the number one pick in a draft that is only quarterbacks at the top, right? But the rumors have been dropping. The rumors have been coming up. Kidd has kind of played the other side of the fence on this. I feel like I'm standing more on the maybe a little Homer Bears fan side on this. But the question on the table is trading Justin Fields a real possibility for the Chicago Bears? Let us know in the chat. Let us know in the comments below as well. If you're listening over on the podcast side, let us know on a 5-star review on the bottom. We'll read your comment live on air. Kidd, go ahead and crack it off for us, man. What are your thoughts on this topic?
Listen, I say this. I think it's a big difference between asking the question of is it on the table or is it an option versus us really having a conversation of should they do it. So should it be an option? If you're a Brian Poles and you're playing the GM or you're playing Archer GM, have that on your hat, put it on that hat. You have to sit there and consider all possibilities and what it means for your organization. Brian Poles sat there and said that we're going to build through the draft. Well, how do you do that? Obviously, you got to have the picks and things to do that. He's in a situation right now where he can totally reset his time frame for building the organization or the team that he wants to build. Is having Justin a great caveat to that, or is it a great option to have? Yeah, but Justin is not the guy he drafted. And As much as we love to sit here and be homers and things of that nature, you have to also consider this. Anybody that comes into Chicago and does well or gives us grit, shows us fight, we latch on to. That's just what we do as a city. That's what we appreciate. That's what we love. And there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes we sit there and get too attached to these players who at the end of the day, again, yeah, Justin Fields sat up there and did an interview, said he's a Bear for life. But that's what he's supposed to say because he's wearing a Bear jersey right now. You're supposed to rep the team just like you as as employees. You rep your company, stuff like that. That's what you're supposed to do. That doesn't mean that, oh, he's not, bought in, stuff like that. It's just as part of the course is what you're supposed to do. Brian Post has to consider all options. It just really does. So again, I'm taking the position of should we even consider it? Yes, it was something we should consider. Yes, it's something that we should look into. Does it mean that I feel like that's the appropriate way? If that's the only way that we can go about building this team? No, but it is something I do believe that we should look into.
It's a tough conversation for me, right? Because it's two-sided, right? I love the fact that this conversation is here. The reason I love the fact that this conversation is here is by no means because I feel like we're going to trade Justin Fields. I don't think that we're heading towards any path that leads to us trading Justin Fields. I think that we're heading on a path right now that Bears fans should absolutely love right now. We need to hype these quarterbacks up. Will Levis all of a sudden is a top 5 quarterback. Like, I don't know what that happened at. I don't know how that happened. But right now you're seeing Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, and Will Levis all be mentioned in the same breath. I am okay with this conversation happening. The thing that I need to be understood here is even if we want to have this conversation, which I don't know how the heck we got to the point where Bryce Young has become Pat Mahomes, right? Like all of a sudden Bryce Young is the Pat Mahomes of this draft, and he's the next Pat Mahomes, just a smaller version. I don't know how we got there, right? But I love the conversation around it because, okay, now mugs are looking at it, and you know who's excited? All the teams that sat there and missed on Pat Mahomes. So, okay, let's have that conversation now. I like the biggest thing for me is in all of this, understanding what's probably a realistic possibility versus what is probably a possibility of a team that needs to boost their pick. To me, trading Justin Fields is a conversation that we can have, but I don't think it's a real possibility. The reason is because while I like the argument, which is the most interesting argument of all, you reset your clock, you reset the rookie clock, you reset, right? Like that's the biggest argument here for why you trade Justin. Many people have already said that Justin Fields would go at the top of this draft if he was a rookie this season. Many people have already said that Justin Fields is a better quarterback until recently than what he has been able to show in the NFL. And it's because of the offensive line issues. And my biggest question is, how does Bryce Young change that? How does CJ Stroud change that? How does Will Levis change that if the Bears were to take a quarterback at the top of this draft and move off of Justin Fields? It sounds great to say, hey, you have this great quarterback that is coming out of the draft. And if you put him in there, you get to reset his rookie clock. But resetting the rookie clock only matters if that dude's better. And I don't think that I look at anything that Bryce Young has done at Alabama versus what Justin Fields did at Ohio State and say, yeah, he's better than Justin Fields was coming out of the draft at Ohio State. I think that right now you look at Bryce and just say, Bryce is coming in and he'll probably be the first quarterback taken off of the board. But how is he going to affect the team? And I think that's the part where we look at these quarterbacks, and it's probably unfair to the young quarterbacks that are coming in, but we judge them based on the team that they're coming from, not the team that they're going to. And that's the biggest issue with all this. Bryce Young, I'm not very high on him. I'm not going to lie. I know a lot of people from Alabama.
CJ Stroud you weren't high on.
I'm kind of not high on either one of them. Here's the thing.
I'm high on Young. Stroud I can sit there and take a flyer on, but like
the fact
Young,
that I can
think
go
could be a stud.
The fact that I can go on both of them. Like I could be like, I can see what he does well. I can see what who's going to be the winner of this draft. Legit, who's going to be the winner of this draft? Whoever gets drafted by the Colts. Because now we're not just judging you on the team you came from, right? We're going to be judging Bryce Young off the team.
All in.
And they've already got an offensive line that's in place that's pretty good, right? They had bad quarterbacks. They've already got a defense that's still pretty good if you get them running the right system and stuff like that, right? The
nice
players in there,
game going,
they've got
so you don't
wide
have to sit there
receivers.
and you could be a dual threat team. You don't have to rely on your QB's arm. You can give him, you can insulate him much like Seahawks were able to insulate Russell Wilson his first year.
You know who's gonna lose? Whoever the Texans pick.
Absolutely.
And that's the part for me, right, where it's like, yes, this guy's a great quarterback, but at the end of the day, is he a great quarterback on the Texans? He looks great in Alabama. I love that. What are the Texans going to do? Why is Pillow just up here? I'm sitting precariously. I'm just turned around. I'm always just there.
Just random pillow talk right there.
Hey, bro. Relax.
Whoa.
But no, right? Like, to me, it's the conversation needs to be, what is this guy going to provide to a Bears team that is still in flux? Yeah, maybe he fits the timeline a little better, but the timeline now becomes, okay, now we've not only got to develop you into a better quarterback than what you're coming from. Also, we got to figure out if we got an offensive line in front of you. We have to figure out if we have wide receiver help here. Stuff you got to figure out anyway.
Though, bro. I got to jump in there because you bring up a good point on a couple of things. But at the same time, this goes back to other arguments that we have with QBs in the past. Everyone's comparing a rookie QB to a 30-game plus Justin Fields. I don't know if you all remember, but when Matt Nagy put Justin Fields on the floor, it's about 30 games.
He got 30 games, bro.
I don't think he didn't start 30 games. It's 2 seasons.
No, he remember Andy Dalton.
30 games.
Andy Dalton. Let's see how many he played. Yeah, it might be close.
I'm not being exact. But again, we're talking about 2 seasons and he's going into his 3rd season. Justin Fields should be better than those. The simple fact that you can have a conversation as to whether or not those QBs can be comparable should tell you a lot about how Justin Fields has been handled here and hasn't had the opportunity to develop. I don't think the kid is sitting there not doing the work on his own. I feel like the organization failed him. So when I sit here and have this conversation or entertain this thought process, I'm not sitting there saying, oh, Justin's a bum or something like that. I'm not saying it from that standpoint. I'm saying, hey, he was drafted into an effed up situation. Clearly, the results show he was in an effed up situation. Brian Poles comes in. He has an opportunity to right the ship. Unfortunately, as a casualty, that could be Justin Fields being a casualty of that. That's what I'm entertaining there. I'm not sitting there trying to discredit Justin Fields, who he is as a person, as a player, anything like that. I feel strongly about what the situation he was in. That being said, you cannot sit here and continue like I see these notions. Justin would have been the best QB in this. Yeah, he would have been the best based off what you see him do now. Had Justin never had the opportunity to do what he did the 2nd season in the league, you wouldn't say that. Because based off their college records, you can sit there and make a case for Bryce Young against Justin Fields. You really could. So it's like, hey, stop comparing a year 2, year 3 professional against an amateur and a college QB. Like, you can't do that. It's a big difference.
The comparisons have been about him coming out of college. The comparisons have been what he did at Ohio State. He would have been the best quarterback coming out of this draft.
What he did in Ohio State was impressive. But what I've seen those other QBs have, and we talked about this, Justin Fields could have took a nap in that guy daggone pocket. That boy could have sat there and said,
so could CJ.
Bryce, but again, there's many times where I sat there and I was looking at these highlights, and it was like, me and you went through the highlights. You're like, man, there's a lot of wide open throws. That's the same thing Justin Fields' tape looked like. Man, it's a lot of wide open throws. Man, it's a lot of man, he had like 5 seconds in that pocket. He'll never get that in the NFL. And sure enough, he never got it. So I'm just like, he's still waiting on 5 seconds.
He definitely ain't got it.
Like, he had 5 seconds. He had less than 5 seconds over an entire game the way the Browns did us. But I'm just saying, like, the conversation that I keep hearing online in our Discord and stuff like that, you're comparing a professional to someone coming out of college, and you're not realizing, hey, by the time Bryce Young gets to year 3, there may not be a conversation as to whether or not you should pay him. Whereas you're walking into year 3 and you're trying to sit here and say, hey, I have to start having extension conversations with this QB, and I don't even know what the hell he can really do.
Yeah.
I just know there's a lot of potential. I don't know what he can really do. That's the situation right there. And you have to put your business hat on for a second. Do you really want to take that bet? Do you?
For me,
What is
yes,
what is the market
because
going to be for us to sit there and pay Justin? Because Chicago's the same team, the same city that turned on Derrick Rose, but now we want him back to retire. Like Chicago's that same city. It's a
yeah,
finicky city.
yeah.
So let me ask you all this: when it comes time to actually pay Justin Fields, are you going to give him the $45 million that Daniel Jones thought he was worth?
What is he on? What is
Hey,
Daniel Jones on? Let's sidebar. May I approach? Shout out to the Cap and J Hood show for that one, bro. What is Daniel Jones on, bro?
bro, whatever he's smoking, I want some, because that man said 45 million. I'm like, boy, like, is you crazy? Like, so, but here's the thing. Daniel Jones was in the same situation. Daniel Jones had a team around him that failed him. Why? Because his star running back was injured most of the time. They had no O-line. He was running for his life. You wouldn't pay him, and the owner has sat there and said, we have ruined this kid.
Yeah. But
what makes you all think in Chicago, and we're also known for being relatively cheap, depending on who you ask in the fan base, that Justin Fields is going to be any better of a situation? But right now, what you have is a prototypical Lamar Jackson lookalike, and you're wondering, like, hey, can he still throw? And Lamar Jackson ain't even got the bag yet. So what are we doing? Like, for us to sit there and say we should not have the conversation, that's stupid. You're being emotional. You're not being logical. That's not what we do here.
I'm not being emotional, because here's how I'm coming into this. When we went into last season, our statement was y'all gave him absolutely no wide receivers.
None.
The offensive line help is questionable at best. Like we were sitting here and we were like, maybe Lucas Patrick, and then he went down like in training camp. We were like, oh, okay, the one dude that we thought might be good is dead, and he basically just ain't here. Bad signing, in my opinion, by Ryan Poles. I know Muzz be like, you can't count on injury. It's like, well, you kind of got to. Hey, poor Steph. But right to Steph, to the issue with Steph, right? Like, when we came into this season, we said, if I see Justin Fields making the throws and his wide receivers fail him, I will take that as growth. If I could see him adjusting to the pressure that's coming and his wide receivers failed him, I can take that as growth. Literally just about every single game we lost by one score, we talked about Justin Fields' wide receivers failing him. That's telling me that he's reading what the defense is giving him. He's adjusting off of that. He's able to make the throw. And sometimes he's holding on to the ball too long. I'm not saying that it's all the wide receivers, right? There are times where it was Justin Fields. I think that Detroit game's a great example. Even Justin said, I was horrible. I was trash in that game. But there are games where, and plays where it does fall on Justin Fields, like every quarterback in the NFL as well. But we looked at that as growth. Okay, so we feel like he's grown, at least with what he's seeing on the field as a passer. If you get it to wide receivers that can catch, we might be having a very different conversation this year. The other thing that I say that to me doesn't even start the conversation, we can talk about what a Lamar Jackson does, right? Like how Justin Fields is this Lamar Jackson type player. Okay. And I'm willing to have it with how much he ran this year. But two things are true. One, Lamar Jackson said, I can do this better than anybody else and nobody's going to be able to catch me. And then I'll throw the football. Where Justin Fields has said, I'm not a running quarterback. I just need to, I want to pass the ball. I want to break passing records. I want to be. So Justin is a willing passer. He just ain't had that option to. And the second thing to me is that when I look at Justin Fields, the fact that he wants to pass, if you give him the option where he actually can make some of these passes, and then on top of that, he also has a gear that most people in the NFL do not have. Lamar Jackson maybe being the only other person that has that gear that he can get away. We saw a hole in the Super Bowl. We were talking about that. It was a hole in the Super Bowl that Jalen Hurts could have hit and just didn't. And I was like, bro, if Justin Fields hits that, like, we're up 2 scores in the Super Bowl right now. So the fact that you have that with a guy that seems more willing and grew in an ability to pass already sets him apart from the guys that are coming, because I don't see Bryce Young having an ability to do anything. What does Bryce do? And I ask you this, and I'll ask the chat this. Comment below, comment in the chat, comment over on the podcast side as well. What does Bryce Young do that is game-changing if you don't put him in the perfect situation?
I'm going to be honest with you. I think right now, his vision was and this is coming from someone who really didn't. I want you all, I'm going to preface it with this. I didn't walk into this conversation not having done the homework?
No. He watched tape.
I watched the tape.
He's watched the Bryce. I'm telling y'all this facts. We watched him.
I've been watching them, and when I first heard, oh, we could potentially trade, and I was like, are you crazy as heck? Like, why would I want to do that, right? But then I watched the kid, and I was like, I could see it. Like, it was a resigned, I could see it. It wasn't a, oh my God, we got to have him, but it was like, I could see it. And the reason I could see it is because he wasn't a scrub. He had good vision, and to me, he just naturally had a better throwing motion. Now, I just thought, and his decision making was good, but I'm like, this is college. He got a lot of time. How does that translate? I'm really big on that. That's why I don't really get into a lot of college. I don't like watching college football or basketball for that matter, because some of the players I've absolutely adored, they don't translate well.
Yeah.
You know, and that's heartbreaking for me, because it's like, man, I had high hopes for that kid. But like, he, you know, it's one of those things. So I always, I sit there and I try to wait till that first season in NFL. I think the situation Bryce could be in here is why I'm like, okay, I can see it, because I see what Ryan Pohl's game plan is. I see what our cap space and everything is. I see what our options from the picks that we could get from a potential trade, things that I see what that could develop into. And I also see, you know, the different things that he can do receiver wise, having a young QB with young receivers develop and level up. I can see that situation working in Chicago. What I don't see happening in Chicago is I don't see a lot of big name receivers, and we do need big name receivers.
Yes.
I don't see a lot of them jumping out the gym to come here. I don't see a lot of them. Like,
right?
everyone keeps saying, hey, you throw the bag at them, just like they still got to come. Like, I just heard AJ Brown say he would have stayed in Tennessee with the Titans if they offered him 22 mil.
Well, yeah, I think here's the thing.
AJ Brown could have been still in the Titans behind Derrick Henry and not be in the Eagles jersey because of other situations. Like, I don't think a lot of these, the way that the league is shaping, a lot of those big names that we hear, I don't see them in the Bears jersey. And that's what we need. We don't have the time frame to sit there and say, okay, let's get some young receivers. Let's hope they work out with Justin. And then next year, I got to sit there and have the conversation. Okay, Justin, the market for a QB that should be in your situation is 35, 40 million a year. I don't see that working out.
But here's
but I'm not against it. I'm just not, I'm looking at it both ways. Everyone says, but what if this person doesn't work out? What if Justin don't work out?
But
like, what if the leap don't happen?
And again, this
like,
is the thing.
It's just a logical conversation, you know.
If the leap doesn't happen, right? And I think this is the thing: you have to allow your team to be built. The one thing that we all can agree on: quarterbacks ain't Jesus back there. Now, there's some quarterbacks that have done their best impersonation, right? Like, there's some quarterbacks. Deshaun Watson is a quarterback that we looked at, all issues aside, when he was in Houston, and we were like, wow. He had nothing, and he scored touchdowns. Like, he legit had nothing.
You legit don't find that type of talent. Like, Patrick Mahomes couldn't do it with nothing. I don't care what nobody says.
Patrick Mahomes could not have done the year that they lost. Just about what they win, like 2 games, 3 games, something like that. Is last year there before all of this mess went down. He led the NFL in passing yards, and I want to say touchdowns. And they lost almost every game.
Do you know how wild that is? Like,
you know,
I was out there playing Madden, like, for real.
Right. So my point is, right, you don't see those quarterbacks every day. So the thing here for me is not, let's reset Justin Fields' clock. Because if that's the only conversation we're having, this is the year that you want to see if Justin can play. Because if Justin's bad at football, or if he's just not good enough, this is the next year coming up. And shout out to Adrian for the super chat. Those are the names that I'm looking at. Caleb Williams, he's a better quarterback than Bryce Young is right now. He just is. Caleb Williams is the second dude we was looking at that was throwing it to whatever his name, Adrian. I can't think of his name right now.
He was a good QB.
No, he's a good QB. He's better. He's a better QB than Bryce. To me, right, those are the names that I'm looking at and saying, okay, well, if we know Justin doesn't work, we had this entire draft to go out there and find pieces that we believe in, that we put around Justin to build this team out. If you go into next season and Justin Fields just looks the same, right? He doesn't look like he's taking another step. He doesn't look like he's grown. Doesn't look like he's got better. Then I'm willing to be like, okay, now I could see Ryan Poles making a decision like this, because now you've seen 2 years of Justin Fields in this system. He's going to be able to work with Luke Getsy again. They're going to be able to actually sit there and improve on more of the things that they improved on this season. And I got a better QB class coming out next year than we think we have this year. I would rather
the chances of you being in the conversation for those QBs is what we keep overlooking. There's no guarantee that we are going to be in those conversations for those QBs. I know we can try to trade for this and do all that, but there's no guarantee. The only thing that's guaranteed right now, Chicago has the number 1 pick in this draft.
Yeah,
that's the only thing guaranteed.
And here's the thing. At that point, if you feel Justin Fields ain't the guy, guess what you got to do? Exactly what Indianapolis is doing. Because if Justin Fields ain't the guy, you're losing pretty much what? Like, I'm going to be honest with you. If the Bears win 8 games next year, and Justin Fields is throwing the football better and stuff like he's not going nowhere. He'll be here. But if
depends on how we win those games.
If we're sitting anywhere near, well, I mean, we're gonna win them on his arm.
Hey, we made it to the Super Bowl with a whack QB.
Yeah, but they didn't go away from Justin. I think that's the difference, right? We went to the Super Bowl, very different era of football, where literally we probably could have won the Super Bowl if we just handed the football off to Thomas Jones, kept doing that. You know what I mean? But hey, but the thing is, they're not shying away from putting Justin in this position. Justin Fields is getting every opportunity to be the guy or F up. So we're gonna know one way, like, if we win these games, we are going to win these games because either Justin Fields played well or he didn't. This defense isn't going to be fully rebuilt in one offseason. Shout
out to Kashay. She says if he's terrible, like y'all saying, then you'd have a number 1 pick again. That's not true. You know what the Bears are? They're like the Chicago Bulls. We're in a situation where we're not terrible. Like, let's look at those games we lost.
No, we're terrible. Let's be real. We're terrible.
I'm gonna say this: football is very different because obviously, again, the best players on one end of the field don't play on the other side. But if you look at some of those games, we were in a lot of those games for a variety of reasons. Sometimes it was our defense, sometimes it was Justin, sometimes it was both. But we were in those games. I don't think we're going to be a 3-win team next year, regardless. Justin could go out there and have a Jameis Winston season.
Well, if Justin has a Jameis Winston season,
that might be
having a very different conversation, bro. Come on.
hey, let's reel it back. He might have
that was my favorite kid debate point. Like, man, some of these balls getting tipped. I was like, bro, go look at them 50 interceptions or them 30 interceptions, bro. A solid 25 of it was Jameis throwing
threw
it
30 interceptions, but he threw 33 touchdowns and 5,000 yards. He broke history on both halves of the field, baby. That's what it is. Hey, he won and helped you at the same time. That's all I gotta say. Anyway, but I'm just saying, like, even with that being the case, let's just say he does have a Jameis Winston, just because it's stuck in my head. I can't think of another example. I'm sorry. That's a fail.
That's a fail.
That's a fail.
If he throws,
now, mind you, he throw 30 touchdowns. I don't think he got 30 touchdowns to his name. Not passing. I know he got it with rushing, but not passing. So at this point, not passing. So at this point, it's like, hey, no. But that doesn't guarantee that we're going to be number 1 next year. You want to know why? Because the Panthers are still trash.
And they're going to be trash. But here's the thing, right? I think it puts you in a situation where you go into right now, you're going into this offseason thirsty. Right? Like this offseason is going into the grocery store hungry. You're just trying to grab stuff. You just, oh man, we need that too. Then you get home and you be like, bro, why did I buy 6 packs of Oreos?
Because I was hungry.
Because I was hungry, right? And so to me, right, that is where the Chicago Bears are right now. So Ryan Poles has to go into this draft, this offseason. You have the most money. You have every single one of your picks. You can gain more picks off of it. No matter what you do, trade Justin, trade the first round pick. We're going to have more draft capital going into next season than this season. 110%. So now you're going into this offseason and you're saying, hey, I'm trying to find everything for this team in one offseason to put us in the best position to have this conversation next year. It's not going to happen, but you want to get as much as you can. So when you get into this, I think if you have this conversation next offseason.
If you don't mind me asking, what is that though? What is that from Pat's perspective? Like you just said it. We're not going to rebuild everything. But what is that from your perspective? What we have this offseason? What do you have to have?
I'm gonna tell you 100%. This season, as everybody says, wide receiver, we got to get a wide out. We got to get a wide out. We got to get a wide out. No, you don't.
You got to get you got to line.
You have to have both of your trenches set, because you know what? I've seen very wide receivers look good if they got time to get to that route. Yep. I'm not saying that that's what I'm coming out of this wanting. I think the Bears should go find a wide receiver. I think that the Bears do need another wide receiver. I like Chase Claypool. I'm high on Claypool. I know a lot of people are like, he came here halfway through the season. Bro, I'm telling y'all, literally anybody that wasn't in training camp, literally go look at the passes. Anybody who wasn't in training camp with Justin didn't get the ball. Like nobody got the ball. You brought back 2 6'6" wide receivers.
Yeah.
Neither of them got the ball.
Big target.
Neither. N'Keal Harry got like 4 passes thrown to him. I think he caught 3 of them. Justin was like, that's what you gonna get, right? So I think there's a little bit of that on Justin's part that I do have some issues with. But I think the thing that you have
trust.
No. I think it's trust on Justin's part. I think it's trust on Justin's part. And to an extent, I get it, right? I just don't think you at the place where Kobe can be. Because to me, I'm gonna throw you this ball. I'm gonna get this open, and all your job is as a wide receiver is to catch this open pass that I'm throwing you. And if you don't catch this open pass, they're not looking at you that you messed up. They having a conversation about you need to trade Justin Fields. So I kind of
move on to your next point, because I know where you're going with it.
Well, what I'm saying is this.
Go ahead, finish. Go ahead.
You have to attack the trenches first. Chase Claypool will be fine if Justin Fields has time to throw the ball. And here's the thing. If we drop back and we see Justin Fields with actual time to throw the ball, you know what the debate you can't go into next season with? Oh, well, he was rushed, so he had to take off and run. He was rushed, so these passing lanes didn't get a chance to develop. I think that's the one thing on the offensive side and on the defensive side. Poles' first draft. We've killed him. He went DB, Velus Jones. I think the 2 DBs will work out, but the only way your DBs get to a good point is if there's pressure in front of them, causing the quarterback to make rushed decisions.
That's a fact.
That's how you get there. They work hand in hand. It all goes together. Shout out to the super chat from Gary. Gary said, "Kid, I think we're good with Justin for now. Better than the Giants going forward with Daniel Jones." I hope that. Here's the thing. The one thing I can't say about Daniel Jones that Justin Fields actually did do is when we saw Daniel Jones throw the football, it still was a lot of moments of like, hey, man, who are you throwing to? What did I got to get that clip. I got to get that cut up of DeAndre Hopkins for football season.
What do you see?
What do you see?
You know, the funny thing is, I agree with that. But you know what Daniel Jones has had? And again, we all agree. No O-line, minimal help. Saquon was injured.
Good. They had a better offensive line this year.
This year they did.
This year, for sure, yeah.
But from year one, that man could sling. His first year was better than both years of Justin. It's a hard take, but go look at it.
I mean, what both years,
and you can sit there and say, well, he didn't have a lot of time. It's better than both years. His second year, better than Justin's.
Here's the question I always ask. What is better if you're giving the ball to the other team every opportunity you can?
Well, that's what I love I love when you go that route, because that's not what Daniel Jones did.
Didn't Daniel Jones lead the NFL in fumbles?
He did have a lot of those.
I'm like, wait a minute. What are we talking
Hey,
about?
he did have a lot of those. I would just say this.
Nah, I would say this. I think Justin
did
last
too.
year had a lot of fumbles as well. But
Justin did too. He's just happy that we fell on them joints. It could have went the other way. That's all I have to say.
He fell on a lot of them mugs. He fell on a lot of them mugs.
The difference between Daniel Jones and Justin Fields is the fumble happened and it was still recovered by us, as opposed to the other guy falling in on them. That's all.
That makes a big difference,
anyway,
bro.
as far as
That makes a
passing,
big
he had a better season.
difference.
Had a better season. This is neither here nor there. All I'm saying is this: how would you rate Justin based off what you've seen, not what you believe, not what you think, based off what you've seen as a passer?
What I've seen is, as a passer, Justin Fields improved tenfold last season.
I do agree he improved.
He improved tenfold last season. I think that there was a lot of times that we could point to last season where his wide receivers just didn't help him out. We said Darnell Mooney was a number one wide receiver. Number one wide receivers come down with that pass at the goal line. We win that game versus Washington. Justin Fields literally was driving us down the field, gave us 2 opportunities in the game versus Minnesota, I believe, to win that game. And the former Viking, Isaiah Mazarette Smith, or whatever his name was, wanted to get Isaiah Smith Mazarette wanted to give his former team the ball back. I think that you can gauge a guy based on what he has the ability to do. And I think Giselle said this. I think it was Giselle when Tom Brady was playing for the Patriots. He doesn't have the ability to throw and catch. We cannot judge him based on every game's final numbers. We have to judge him based on what we see happening, play in and play out. There are plays, absolutely, and me and you agree with this. Sometimes Justin hold the ball too long. Sometimes Justin's been hit way too many times, and he just takes off. You can't do that as a NFL quarterback. There are times where you have to. Now, Justin has the ability to get away, but there are times where you have to stand in there in the pocket, trust your pocket, and make the pass. He didn't have a great pocket all year. But I think that to come out and very much like Shady McCoy and guys like that have done, who, by the way, Shady is one of the worst. I mean, like, it's impressive to come out in your first year and instantly become one of the worst people on TV that to talk sports, especially from somebody who's played the game. He's literally one of the worst people I've heard with 90% of his takes. Like, it is Nick Wright level of bad at times on that show.
You know what? I don't know. The big takes, I agree. He's missed more than he's hit.
Him coming out
overall, I kind of like his commentary because he's giving you, but he's almost like breaking the code a little bit. He kind of gives you stuff you shouldn't know.
Here's the thing: Shady got a good voice.
He does.
Shady's got a good voice. Shady said, and here's the thing that matters, right? Because I'll say this: people think Kendrick Perkins is stupid. He says
a Southern draw.
It's the Southern draw. Kendrick Perkins says things that make a lot of sense at times. If you watch like a full show of him, he actually comes out and you'd be like, that's actually a logical basketball breakdown.
He be cooking.
But then the clip they post up is him going, if you put Kyrie's brain in a bird, it'll fly backwards. You'd be like, this man's an idiot. Legit, and that's a real quote. That's a real quote from Kendrick Perkins, by the way. That's a real quote. That's not me making that up.
We found out the hummingbirds fly backwards. Oh, anyway,
depends on Depends on the bird. They also probably do cocaine in the real world. But anyway, I think that's the part right there, right? Like, to me, that's all base. But Shady, especially with his last take about Eric Bieniemy, where he's like, Eric Bieniemy don't call plays. Andy Reid does that. It's like, neither did the last three.
You know what? He was kind of on point with that, though. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Hey, listen.
It was a little more. I thought he was going a little too hard, but I was like,
Andy Reid's last 3 offensive coordinators didn't call plays. They all have head coaching jobs. Matt Nagy lost his. They all had head coaching jobs.
You right?
Hey, look, and 2 of them won the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? So it's like, come on, y'all. Like he was like, Eric Bieniemy didn't do nothing when I was in the locker room with him, and it's like, neither did you.
Where'd that come from? You know,
neither did you, Shady. Like, you also weren't on the field, so that's cool. But no, Getting back to Justin, though, I think the thing when with what you asked about what he needs most, I think the thing that Justin Fields needs most is just to be judged fairly on what we actually saw, not the final numbers. And
I agree.
we went into every single game and we was
I
like,
agree.
hey, you got to catch that.
I agree. But you know what we didn't do initially? We didn't sit there and look at the all 22 and say, you should have threw that sooner.
Oh,
we
no,
didn't do a lot of
me
that
and you was
initially.
on that. I was big on that. I was
you
like,
have done it off camera.
I was like, you gotta make that. You can't hold on to what was the game? One of the games where he ran for like
It was one of the games
record.
against Green Bay. He had a couple passes.
It was one of the games against Green Bay too.
Well, it was like
By the way,
you're holding that ball way too long. And it's like, you got to get that out there. And so it's like, hey, the O-line held up, but you're still using your legs. And I get it. I totally get it. I'm not faulting him for trying to protect himself and using what he's kind of his instinctual, need to protect himself. I'm not trying to use that against him because, hey, if I sit there and get sacked 9 times and almost murdered in the game, I'm gonna be weary too. I mean, it just is what it is. Like, I'm not gonna do that again, is what I'm gonna say. Like, right? So I get it. But again, you're talking about the leader of your team and what you need him to do and the money that's going to have to come behind it. And if you have enough opportunity to develop him to be that guy, to get that check, like, take your emotions away from it. How many good QBs do we kill because we sit there and say they don't get that team over the hump? How many good QBs do we sit there and do that with? Heck, we still sit there and kill QBs who are better and say just because Justin used his legs that Justin should be in the conversation. Justin shouldn't be in any conversation. He should be in a conversation of a developing QB who has to prove himself. He hasn't done anything. Like, that's ultimately where we're at. Case in point. Do you believe that he's has a situation to have a Jalen Hurts breakout season?
yes.
How do we
Jalen
make
Hurts,
that happen?
what I said, the trenches.
The trenches,
I think
not just the trenches. We got to get somebody to catch 1,600 yards.
Fact. You need.
We got to get somebody else who can catch another 900.
Here's what I'll say.
We got to get an O-line that's going to protect that man. He has one of the best snappers in the league, literally.
For all the Bears fans that think that we're where Philadelphia is this year, no, we're 2 years ago. Philly, we're Philly from now 2 seasons ago.
Jalen Hurts,
where they
Jalen
finally
Hurts
went to
absolutely
Jalen
on
Hurts.
the trade talk. We all said that. I was not a Jalen Hurts fan.
That was just you. I'm not gonna lie to you. That was just you. Hey,
I wasn't a Jalen Hurts fan before this season. I really wasn't.
I'll say this. There weren't a ton of Jalen Hurts believers, but there were people that was like, he keep finding a way to win. He keep finding a way to make them competitive. But I think that's where we're at coming into this season. We're not right. We're the season where Carson Wentz still was kind of the guy, and then they was like, "Hey, Doug Peterson was like, I don't want to use him. He's not this kid here. This kid Jalen got it. He ain't got it. He a basket case. Send him to Washington. You're fired."
The funny thing is, like you said, he keeps finding a way to win. We ain't found a way to win yet, and we're in that same conversation, right?
But that season before, that's what Jalen was. Three years ago, that's where Jalen was, because he was coming in.
Here we are, and we're like, hey, this is where the reset the clock thing comes in. Because I heard you say it, and it's not necessarily coming at you, but you hear a lot of people and stuff like that.
Everybody keeps
talking. It doesn't make sense. It does when you don't have all the pieces to put around him, so he can have a Jalen Hurts breakout season. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah,
I'm not talking about whether or not Justin's going to have a good career. I'm talking about for the next 2 years, how do I get him the help that he needs? And can I do it efficiently? Or is it better for me to kick that can down the road a little bit, get someone who is in the sphere of his ability and try to just start new with that guy so I can sit there and build my team the right way? Right now, we're having to rush a lot of things just to get Justin the help he needs, and he deserves it. That's why the trade conversation is there.
But that's team construction's fault. You know what I mean? I think that goes to,
if Poles had drafted Fields, this wouldn't be a conversation. He did.
No. What I'm saying is that goes to teams with this mindset of I got to get my quarterback first. if you feel like he's that good of a quarterback, go get him first. But right, if Houston drafts Bryce, he's going to be terrible. He might show flashes. You might be like, I like what I saw there. They're still going to lose a lot of games. Their offensive line is not good. They have Brandon Cooks. Like, that's the weapons. Brandon Cooks. Your list of weapons is Brandon Cooks. And I actually, let me not cap. What's chat? Help me with the running back. My man's that ran without a helmet in college. He a dog. They running back is a dog. Pure dog.
Oh, he was killing in fantasy too.
Oh, he was a dog in the season too. He is also a weapon. Help me, chat. Help me, chat. Y'all know who I'm talking about in Houston.
He's the only dude there on offense at this point.
He is. Pierce, Damian Pierce. He dog. You know what I mean? So, but Bryce is going to a situation where
Gary, by the way, he said at least we're not the Broncos. I think we'd want to be the Broncos at this point.
Just want their coach. I'm not gonna lie to you. I just want their coach. I just want their coach.
Hey, Russ is about to cook. That's all I know.
Hope so. I hope so. Right. I've never seen Sean Payton have a bad quarterback, so I feel like Russ is going to be better. But Russ,
they had fired their coach.
Hey, but
at week 4, they would have probably went on a Nets 11-game win streak.
Here's the thing, right? Even after he left,
he looked
the coaches that were there, he looked better, but it was like he still didn't look like Russ. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was really sitting there.
Like
I was
Russ,
like,
but it was also like after a season of like failed experiments. It was like, hey, all right, let's try to actually get some momentum now. Like I didn't expect him. I don't expect any QB that goes to a new team that's not Tom Brady, where you could sit there and like control everything. You have the blueprint for winning. I don't expect any QB to go into a new situation their first year and have major success, especially when you have a coach that no one likes.
Matt Stafford won a Super Bowl.
Matt Stafford went to a situation where they literally traded, hey, this guy was good enough to get us there. We don't like him. Let's go ahead and put you here. And he almost gave it away. So that's all I'm saying.
Twice.
Hey, I got to admit that. He almost gave it away. So he was just good enough to win. That's all I'm saying. Anyway.
You was definitely nervous. You were definitely nervous in that time.
I definitely was sweating a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I got in the moment.
Tom
I
almost
was definitely like, he's not finna let us come back. He's not gonna let us do that. Nah, he's not gonna do that. Sure enough, Tom Brady goes out there and does the thing. I'll say I want to shift to this one because I know we've talked for an hour and we run our mouths. That's what we like to do, what we want to get paid for. The next question I have is, ultimately we have the number 1 pick. We are technically in control of the draft, but the teams that need a QB don't actually have to trade up to number 1 to get them. There's 3 QBs in this draft.
Mm-hmm.
There's 3 teams that desperately need a QB. They're all within the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
And the way it's spaced out, they don't necessarily have to break the bank to deal with Chicago to do it. What is your take or your comments on, my thought that if I'm the Panthers, I'm just trading with Arizona and I'm just going to see who falls to me?
Here's the thing about GMs, right? Mitch probably realistically was the 3rd quarterback in that draft. Actually, might have been 4th. Wasn't there another quarterback taken that was better than Mitch later on in that draft? I feel like there was. I don't remember.
2. Pat Mahomes.
Wait, wasn't Lamar in it? Well, I'm including Pat Mahomes and Deshaun in there. But wasn't
Lamar Jackson?
Was Lamar a year
Christian
later?
McCaffrey
Lamar might have been a year
draft.
later. Lamar might have been a year later. I don't remember. Here's my thing with what I'm looking at with these teams, right? To me, you have a very interesting situation here. And this is why I love the fact that we're hyping up these quarterbacks. This is why I love the fact that Todd McShay comes out, by the way, somebody who's been in the Bears building quite a bit and probably knows Ryan Poles really, really well. He's the one that comes out and he breaks out this Bryce Young is a young Pat Mahomes. Here's the reason why I love all of that. One, because it shows me that the Bears are playing big boy football here. They're not just like, we'll let the chips fall where they may. Nah, the Bears are putting this information out there, dog. Like, stop playing with me. The one quarterback he picks is the one that Ryan Poles has been watching. Come on, dog. But anyway, I think here's the thing that we don't take into account. Houston needs a quarterback. They could wait for one to fall, but it all depends on who you believe in most.
They're number 2.
No, right, exactly. But here's the
And
thing.
they have a
if you
heavy fan base for CJ Stroud. They
but
don't
here's the thing.
need Bryce Young.
If you think that Bryce Young is better than CJ, but I convinced the Colts that, hey, Houston's going to take Bryce. Now the Colts are like, and we already heard their owner come out twice. He got to stop talking, by the way. I love it, but he got to stop talking. We heard their owner come out twice and say, I love that kid from Alabama. Now that may be throwing some off the scent too. That might be a little bit of off play.
First of all, Jim Irsay is a dude with a big wallet. He wants to be the northern version of Jerry Jones so bad. He's going to say whatever he needs to say to stir up some interest and controversy there.
Hey, kid. But Jerry had to literally be locked in a room so that they didn't draft Johnny Manziel.
I'm glad that happened.
It's not, here's the thing. It's not just him running his mouth. I agree with you 100%, but Jerry be making decisions out here.
I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't even be surprised if you saw them make a run at Derek Carr and Derek Carr ended up in a Colts jersey.
Well, they already said they're not going to vet QB route already. That was the first thing that the GM said. He said, listen, we've done that for 2 years in a row. I don't want to do that no more. I want stability here. I want a guy that's going to be here for a long time.
You chose the wrong 2 vets. That's on you. Okay.
Yeah, we can't say that though, because me and you both was on Matt Ryan.
Yeah, he had a shoulder injury and
he was trash before that though. He was trash before that.
He was trash before that. I'll just say this: out of all the vets that's available, all the vets that they've had versus Derek Carr being available, he's hitting neck and shoulders above them simply because he's more mobile than Matt Ryan was, and he still has a cannon.
Derek Carr is a better quarterback for sure. But I think here's the thing, right? Like, I love that we're hyping up these quarterbacks. And the thing is, we're not taking into account the guys that just might be sick of the guys that they have in the building. I think Arizona's in play for a quarterback. They hate Kyler Murray. It's not even a question at this point. The teammates seem like they can't stand Kyler Murray. The organization at every turn is literally like, we paid this man because we didn't have nothing else to do.
Dog, you've paid that man, and nobody at this point, you have no market for that man. They're going to stick with that QB.
I think there's a market because there's a lot of trash teams on here without a QB as well. I think New Orleans has a market. I think that
Derek Carr is rumored to be going to New Orleans, by the way. So I mean,
don't do that, Derek. And here's the thing.
He might like the cooking, and is he married? If not, he might like the cooking and the women. Who knows?
Hey, you never know. I think Derek is married. Derek got a kid and everything. But I think that Tennessee is in the running for a quarterback. I think that Carolina is in the running for a quarterback. I don't think Atlanta has seen anything from their young QB. Now, granted, they ain't putting nothing around them, so maybe they're going to wait a little bit on that. I would say that the Rams might be in the running, and they don't even have a pick in the first round here, right? So now you're talking about, I think the thing is the teams that are further down, you're talking about getting more draft capital out of them because they have to move up further. That's the reason why I love having that conversation. I'm going to be real with you. Houston and Arizona sound great, but they're probably the teams that at this point I want to trade with least because they have the least incentive to give me something unless they just feel like one of them is the most important. No, unless they feel like Will Levis or Bryce Young is a must-have. If they believe in Will Levis, I guarantee you Will Levis will be there at 4.
Hear me out. The teams that desperately need one, and there's like 7 or 8 teams that desperately need one, but there's 3 of those teams that really need one, right? Why would I sit there and give you 2 firsts, this year's first, next year's first, and more picks when I need to build out the teams that really need it? They ain't got nothing. What do the Panthers really have? They don't have anything. Nothing. What does Houston really have? They have nothing. They have to do a full rebuild like we do. Why would I do that? I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to get close enough because guess what? If I'm one of those teams, I believe you're full of it. Ryan Poles, you're not going to pick a QB. And if you do, I'll call your bluff. I will call your bluff. Pick the QB. I want to see how you handle Justin. I want to see what you do with it. I highly doubt you do it. And I know you're not going to play bully ball. You're not going to do it. Now, here's the thing. We've never seen Ryan Poles in this situation, so I don't know. That's also the thing that we haven't figured out and that we can't put any real merit behind. We've never seen Ryan Poles operate in this situation because he ain't never been in this situation.
Yep.
He's never been a guy at the helm controlling the draft in this unique situation. He's never had it happen. So we absolutely have no idea what he's going to do. But here's the thing. He could go either way, and it still could be deemed the right move for the team.
Here's the question that I ask you, right? Realistically, in the NFL right now, how many teams you think are looking for a quarterback?
Say that last part again. You faded.
Realistically, in the NFL right now, how many teams do you think are looking for a quarterback? I think you could be on the phone with at a minimum 20
8 or 9.
I think it's more than that, because here's the thing. Houston doesn't have a quarterback. Arizona just doesn't like their quarterback. But maybe they hold on to Kyler. Okay, we'll throw them out. Indianapolis doesn't have one. Seattle has my man's over there, but it's a long-term
player of the year, and he's cooking. I wouldn't move him.
It's not about moving him. It's about finding the answer after it. Is he the long-term answer? That's the real question that you have to have. I can't rule them out 100%. He's what is he, 30? Don't do it, Pat, but I got to. I think he actually is. Is he 33? Is he 33? I hate you. I hate you.
I'm going to get you a shirt that says, is he 33?
Is he 33, bro? That's
I promise you. I'm going to buy you a Scottie Pippen jersey simply for that. Just because it's 33, that's what I'm going to do.
That's a great joke, as long as it has a patch of Larsa and never mind. Hey, dog, that's next level. That's next level comedy. Hold on, let me check this man. He's 32. I'm good. I'm good.
All right.
He's about to turn 33. I was on point with. Is he? Yeah, he's born in October. By the time next football season get here, he'll be 33 in the next season. Demont said, "Pat, lucky 33 at the casino."
Bro, I'm about to turn red because I'm trying to hold this laugh.
Hey, that was a next level joke right there, bro. Is he 33 with just a patch right on the number?
Man,
it's like Larsa and whichever Marcus. Is it Marcus?
I'm gonna get you some autographed trophy rooms. That's a more in-depth joke right there. If you follow.
Oh boy, here we go. But no, Indianapolis, Seattle, possibly Detroit. I don't know anymore. Detroit's kind of going back and forth, like just in this offseason. They're like, we're not looking for a quarterback. Derek Carr, what you doing though?
They don't need one.
I mean, it depends on what you're trying to achieve this year. I like how
Jared Goff is coming out there like, hey.
Jared Goff. I like how Jared Goff played. Jason Goff was this dude that talked for the Bulls. I like how Jared Goff played in the second half of the season. I'm not going to lie to you. He came out and played well. Vegas looking for a quarterback. That's not even a team that we've talked about here. Vegas literally just was like, just go away.
Dog, Vegas is looking for Aaron Rodgers.
Vegas is looking for Aaron Rodgers. Probably not going to get Aaron Rodgers. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is leaving, by the way. Bears fans, stop getting y'all hopes up that he's finally going to leave. He's not leaving.
Oh, no.
He's going to retire a Packer.
He's done. He might as well retire now because the Packers are so fed up with that guy. Like, at this point, they're going to play they're going to play Jordan Love, and I ain't saying that they should. But if I'm them, I'm not going to let you hold me hostage every year while you go on these 4-day retreats.
Yeah,
hey, dog.
Yeah. I'm at this point, I would try to make a move. But then that brings into question. Now, the Bears will never do it, but Green Bay, another team that probably is going to need a quarterback because
they're going with Jordan Love.
I'm going to tell you this right now. If Jordan Love could play, they wouldn't mind moving on from Aaron. For the exact reason.
Aaron Rodgers is a 4-time MVP. He won back-to-back in the last couple seasons. It's kind of hard to move on from the guy who's been like
they've already
dominant at his position.
They've already done it. Brett Favre was still really freaking good when they finally got rid of him. Brett Favre won an MVP
when he moved on from him.
He won the next year.
I mean, he didn't win it that year though.
He won literally the next season. So, like, what I'm saying is, they were literally like, "We're done with you playing these games. We got a kid that we think actually can play. He's gonna get in the game." They ain't trying to get rid of Aaron.
What we know about Brett Favre. Do we really want to have that conversation?
Yeah, that's a whole different world right there, man. But I don't know if he's doing that.
Good Lord, did you think he was a jerk now? Could you imagine 15 years ago without social media?
You mean when he told Aaron, "I'm not going to let you take my job"?
Oh yeah, that guy.
But I'm not mad at him for that either, though. Like, that'd be weird to me. It'd be like, let me train the dude that's going to one day replace me.
So you mean to tell me you're gonna pay me to train my replacement?
Nah,
Okay,
bro.
yeah, bet. Get on
Yeah,
the
nah,
bench,
bro.
rookie. Like
But no, Carolina in need of a QB.
they got
Philly's
the number
good.
9 pick. They can
Philly's
move up
good.
with Arizona.
They can
Arizona
move.
don't need a QB. They need a line
Well, no, they need one of them
and
pass rushers.
receivers.
No, they need one of them pass rushers because JJ Watt just retired.
Guess
You
what?
you need one of them pass. So
I'm
I
gonna
think
give you. I'm gonna take your 9th pick. You give me a second with it. Easy money. I don't need that 3rd pick. I'm not. Listen, Chicago wants reportedly
a
2
King's ransom.
first. One this year.
Yeah.
And one next year. With day 2 draft pick. I don't need to give you that, dog.
Did I miss a super chat? Did somebody super chat and I missed it? Oh no, we saw that one.
I don't need to give you all of that. Whatever haul you want, keep it. Because guess what? Whether it's CJ Stroud or Will Levis, all I gotta do is get close.
But here's
You're
the
not
thing.
picking a QB.
Here's the thing. That's your team. The thing is, there's going to be what I'm stating is this.
Arizona
As you
trade
go
back a couple times.
as you go through the first round, you're talking about a good chunk of this that needs a quarterback. You're talking about so many teams in this draft that need. Pittsburgh is at 17. They don't have. There's no way they get up
They
there.
got
Right?
Kenny Pickett, who they just drafted last season.
Hey, listen. That's true. I did forget about that because of how forgettable he was.
They got Kenny Pickett. They're rolling with
me.
that kid. They're going to give him a chance to develop.
That's what
Pittsburgh is not in
That's
the
what I mean.
conversation.
Pittsburgh is not in the Pittsburgh is not in the conversation. For some reason, New England's in the conversation.
New England is not in the conversation.
Hey,
please. No, the New England is not in the conversation.
like
if anything,
Mac.
Bill needs to retire because Mac Jones can ball.
You like Mac. Bill do not.
I don't like Bill because Bill has been wrong on 3 different occasions when it comes to his decision making, and no one wants to call him out because he won 6. But guess what? He only did it with a guy who's going out as the GOAT. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, listen. Yeah. Well, listen, he also won a lot of games in those seasons with guys that weren't the GOAT to get the GOAT back in a position where he could go in there and win those Super Bowls. So it's a give and take.
I'm sorry, what? The only other guy he's been dominant with is Jimmy G, who has one of the craziest records of all the starters that we've ever covered outside of Tom Brady. If you really look at it,
literally,
when you talk about people who just know how to win for some odd reason, it's Jimmy G.
Literally, anytime Tom Brady has missed time, Bill Belichick has won with his backup. Like his record with Tom Brady's backups is also really, really good. Bill plays a part in them winning the 6 championships, is a major part.
I'm trying to say that they may have. Okay. I'm just saying, like, he didn't do it. Like, I mean, I get it, but
I think
Bill is over the hump at this point.
Now that may be the case, right? But I think my point is, right, like you look through the first 32 teams in this draft, and there's a lot of teams that are looking for quarterback help. New Orleans has multiple picks in the first round. I don't think the Giants are realistically in on it. I think they probably just gonna sign somebody that's available. Somebody's got to get Lamar because apparently Baltimore don't want him. Like I look through the teams and I say, yeah, they might want a different answer at the quarterback position. I'm not gonna lie to you. I know that this would be a super long shot team, and probably not in this draft at all. So it might not even matter in this draft, probably a next year conversation. But with how many head concussions Tua has had, somebody in that upper office better be like, hey, man, we might have to sit this kid down, bro. Like he done got hit hard in the head way too many times for us to keep rolling with him.
Listen,
that man had 2 life-changing concussions this year.
I'm with you 110%. I'm gonna just say this. This was probably the worst draft to have the number 1 pick in.
Oh, not at all.
Hear me out. If you're the Bears, hear me out.
I don't know why my voice went so high.
Yeah, you just went mad high.
Not at all.
Hidden, boy. What the heck is we doing? I'm gonna say this. It's not a heavy QB, class. The ones that are there, but there is one that's like, okay, maybe I should. And you're in the middle. Like we're such in a space of mediocrity that if we make a decision and roll with it and it don't work, we're gonna come back to this moment and say we should have got Bryce Young or we should have did XYZ. That's the risk there that no one considers. They always sit there and say, well, what if Bryce doesn't work out? Again, if Poles makes a decision to roll with Justin, and let's say Justin is marginally better, and we get to year 4, we're having a Lamar Jackson conversation, which again, I know it's wild. Everyone thinks that he needs to get that contract. Lamar Jackson ain't worth $200 million guaranteed. He not. He's not $200 million fully guaranteed. And you look at the fact that you ain't finished both of the last seasons because you was hurt. You better take your 180 and call it a day.
I
Like,
guarantee
what
you,
are we doing?
I guarantee you, Lamar Jackson goes to a system that gives him the protection and weapons that Baltimore just refuses to give him. He gonna look like a whole different quarterback. But I think the thing is, right, like even
Lamar
in this
gonna end up
situation,
in Miami.
I could see that. I actually could see that. I wouldn't be. I would feel bad in that situation. And I think there is a commitment to Tua. I think they are going to try to run Tua back out there, and hope for the best with him and try to protect him as much as possible. By the way, maybe just don't let him get, tackled. It's just tough to do at a football game. But I think that if you live by this draft with the mentality of, if I miss on this, we're gonna look back here and be like, oh my God, we should have took him. You in the wrong business. You shouldn't be the GM of a team. Like that's absolute, because here's the thing. Going into next season, I go into this season. If I'm the Bears, I go into this season. I say, yeah, we got the number 1 pick this year. We probably won't have the number 1 pick next year. You know what that means? We showed improvement at some point on this team. That means I'm building this team the right way. That means we got to go out and find that next guy. Apparently, every year now, there's some disgruntled quarterback around the NFL that wants to move around.
Hey, dog, that don't mean that because the Panthers didn't have much of a better year. They number 9 in this draft. I get the logic, but it ain't always sound. It ain't always true. You being one of the worst teams in the league, yeah, it guarantees you a high pick. It don't guarantee you no number 1.
Kid, how many games do you think the Panthers won?
How many games did they win?
Panthers won 7 games, bro.
They won 4 more games.
That's a lot of games.
In a 17-game season. They were 7-10.
They were 7-10. That's a lot of games. For the team they had to, that's a lot of games.
Let me ask you something, Pat. How many games did Houston win?
Houston won 3.
Okay, so they got number 2. How many games did the Colts win?
4.
How many games did Denver win?
Denver won 5.
Now, I know it's a whole lot of reasons as to why you get this pick and stuff like that, a whole different moves and stuff like that. I get it. All I'm saying is it's not certain. Like, none of that is certain. You know who could absolutely have a worse season than us next year? The Packers.
I'm with you, kid. But I mean, like you're saying like we're in the same position as these other teams. No. Carolina almost won the division, bro.
And no, it's not. You're absolutely right.
Carolina almost made the playoffs this year.
You're absolutely right. You cannot go into it in as a GM and have that mentality. But it ain't just about the GM. It's public perception. It's the fanfare and the roar behind the fans that do it. And in Chicago, I've said this before on this live as well. It's one of the hardest places to play because when Chicago loves you, they love you. But when they don't like you, you think Philly is a problem. Oh my God. Chicago is a whole different beast. We're so nonchalant about it, though. It's just almost a level of indifference, which is worse. I think indifference is worse. It's like it's just the Bears. The Bears has been synonymous with just not being good for so long that there's people who've literally lived and died with the Bears having a losing record. I have family members who have never seen the Bears have a successful rebuild that have lived and died between them winning the Super Bowl and now. Hard take. I get it. But anyway.
The Bears have been good multiple times since then.
Dog, the Bears have anecdotal. We've had great defenses.
Well, no. So then, what you're saying is
great
they've
defenses.
lived.
You know what we are?
Died. You're saying they lived and died and have never seen a Bears offense.
Listen, you know what we are? We are the company that has not decided to go and step into the future with electric vehicles and sticking with that good old V8, it's not gonna. Eventually, you're gonna have to make a move. Even Dodge is making electric vehicles now.
Hey,
By
and
the
I'm
way,
but
weird
I'm
vehicle.
but I'm gonna tell you this right now, and that was gonna be my point. Everybody making that move don't work, dog. Some of them joints trash.
Some of them joints is trash.
Some of them joints is trash. And guess what? Some of these rebuilds, trash out here. You know what I mean? Hey man, we done done a lot of talking on this one, man. I think we've stated both sides very well. Appreciate everybody for tuning in and showing love. Follow us on everything at Pat the Designer, at P.Kidd1 on Twitter. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Let us know how you guys feel in the comments below, man. Appreciate you guys for showing love to the channel as always. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page. We do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. We got a lot of big upgrades coming y'all way. We're gonna get back
live
together
again tomorrow for Bulls.
Bulls don't play till Friday.
You want to go live tomorrow for the Bulls?
Oh, the talk Bulls, you saying?
I mean, we could do it now if you want to, but it's up to you.
Nah, because I gotta do a couple more podcasts today. Once I figured out that oh, by the way, I have the Rona. So once I figured out I had the Rona, I just start scheduling stuff because I'm like, I'm gonna be in this basement for the rest of the day anyway.
Yeah, I planned on seeing Pat this Saturday. Not gonna happen.
Well, by Saturday I'll be good, right? Because it's
no. It's Tuesday. You just found out. You're gonna get your full 5 to 7
Wednesday,
days,
Thursday,
my G.
Friday, Saturday. Nah, that's 5. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
I'm gonna
Friday,
see you
Saturday.
next week, my boy.
Hey,
if I see you outside before Sunday, we're having a problem.
You see these dogs in your front yard? You see these dogs? I'm calling the CDC.
I'm calling Joe Byron. Something is happening. It's like, hey,
they gonna pull up on
me,
bro. They gonna pull up on me like in Monsters Inc. If you had the sock on your shoulder, bro.
What is it? 2219, whatever it was.
2219.
Heck no, dog. Nah, you better go ahead and take your.
Oh man, Los with the hoodie said thoughts on Pat Bev to the Bulls. Los, we dropped a video on that, breaking that down. I don't think it's gonna change much, but yeah. As always, man, it's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. I do think somebody might get punched in the mouth. I do believe that somebody might get punched in the mouth before this is over, man. Y'all stay safe out there, man.
Lonzo, Zach LaVine. God, get
Zach,
off the line.
Zach might get punched in the mouth, bro.
It's going.